Hey, everyone, this is Peter, and I'm joined by John from Half Hand Cloud today. He is a multi-instrumentalist, musician, filmmaker, a whole bunch of things. Well, I mean, I wanted to talk about that music video that you came out with like a year ago, a little later.
Yeah.
The Super 8 one
Yeah.
for Antennas Extend. Yeah, because actually,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, I remember. Yeah, that's what I really remember seeing when I was like browsing through the backlog of the Asthmatic Kitty
Yeah.
videos one day, like a few years ago or whatever. I was, yeah, watching all of their stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I haven't told you this in our email exchanges or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Now, I always knew you as a multi-instrumentalist, but I didn't know that you were in Sufjan's band as a trombone player.
Yeah.
I grew up playing trombone.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so I was in the marching band and everything.
Whoa.
Yeah,
That's
you know.
serious. Yeah.
Yeah. And so there's what I wanted to talk about is that most trombone players I know are goofballs. They're the goofballs of whatever band they're in.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what it is. I think possibly it's the instrument being essentially two tuning slides. And
Yeah.
how you can, I don't know, like in band we'd sometimes try to knock off the hats of the people in front of us, like,
Wow. That's cool. Yeah.
I don't
That's a
know if
good
that's
idea.
your experience too, or maybe I should ask your friends.
Uh, yeah. I mean, what did I feel like? I mean, I felt like when I was in Sufjan's band, maybe especially the Michigan Militia band, so that would have been about a year before Illinois. I was sort of like the one that everybody picked on, I think. So I don't know if that counts as goofball exactly, but sort of like, because I wasn't really like I wasn't the drinker in the band or anything, and like if they wanted to hang out afterwards, I would just like usually just go back and like read in the room or something.
Yeah.
And then I would kind of and I get made fun of for like always wanting to stop and get ice cream. So probably has to do with the trombone, has a lot to do with that, and like 100%.
Yeah. Well, trombone's kind of a funny instrument too, because you can either be the harmony, but sometimes you can also like be the melody. It's not like a tuba where you're usually relegated to bass line or
always
harmony.
down. Yeah.
That you
Yeah,
can sort of mix.
I think I got that job playing in Sufjan's band because I probably was the only trombonist he knew. So it was like, okay, well you're the guy to do it. And then also it was like he never, I didn't ever play really high. I'm not a very good trombonist. And so he always like, I think he started working with another like real trombonist in New York City after the Illinois stuff. And and then he would always kind of keep it real simple and like low for them. And they were like, this is kind of weird because like we can go a lot higher than this. and they were kind of like, why is it so limited here? And I think he thought, oh, that's all the trombone can do because of how badly I played it.
Oh, well, I mean, it does hurt to go like above the middle C. It's like, I don't know, like it hurt me. What was it like, I guess, recording with your kids or recording, making like a family project?
Yeah. Well, I mean, things kind of started off with that, like back in, when I was a child, we would record everything on. They had this one cassette that my sister and I would record on with our parents, and they they would record, like there's recordings of me at 2, and then you can fast forward a little bit, and then my sister's there, and we're singing in 1987. Much later, and it's just interesting. It's all on this one cassette, and I like the way that sounded, like the cassette. And so I always with our kids, I've been taping them with a cassette, like little things here and there, and so some of the songs are directly from these cassettes. Just like right after I wrote it, I would put it there. I would tape it on a cassette, so one time our oldest son wrote a song about the Beatles, and then when he was 2, and then we made it about a year later. We made it into a real song with arrangements and stuff, and so this sort of like the aesthetic of that was already established, and I wanted to include that song in the album.
Yeah, and it's called The Beatles, right? That's the song.
It's called The Beatles, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so so a lot of it's just a continuation of that same sort of thing, but this is also the way that I typically make demos is like using a cassette recorder and feeding that recording with that, but at the same time it's just using that mic and feeding into the computer.
Okay.
At the same time. So because I like to set up my reel-to-reel tape machine, which is what I use on the albums typically. That's quite a bit of work, and requires like it has to be. It makes its own noise. The tape machine makes its own noise, and where we live right now, I don't have a good closet where I can put that in and take the sound out. So if I use it, I have to like set up in a different part of the house, and there's just this whole big process. And so this summer we were moving from one apartment to another in Helsinki, and in order to really to just do it quickly, that was one way that we did it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I like the aesthetic. I think it fits the overall sort of tone of it, anyways. You know, a little better.
Yeah. Yeah. I enjoy the way it sounds.
Yeah. Now that actually, like, I meant to ask you. You brought it up how you still that you record typically your albums on a reel-to-reel tape machine rather than.
Yeah.
So do you still edit it on tape, or is there like a solution for editing it digital, or? Because I'm not too well versed in that.
Typically, I've mixed it with. I guess I've always mixed it with somebody. There's one album that's digital, Halos and Lassos, that was recorded with my friend Brandon in Iowa City on his computer. But most of all the ones I've recorded myself have all been on tape and then mixed digitally, except for there was an EP. There's a couple EPs that I mixed it with the mixing board and then just ran it into like a CD burner or something. So that doesn't really. That's how I digitized it, but it's mixed kind of manually, I guess. But yeah. So
I'm always interested to hear, because this is like, it's kind of like, I guess
it's a little bit like film editing, sure.
Yeah, it's a little like film editing, and I know that there are some like very vocal voices in the music community that are very much like, you still need to record on tape and all that kind of stuff. Like I think Mac DeMarco is probably the biggest voice about that right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if do you listen to him at all?
No, I know the name.
Yeah.
I guess I'm not a purist exactly, but I just enjoy the sound of tape, and I like the way that sounds, and if for me, at least for my recordings, I like a lot of recordings that are probably made digitally, but for my stuff, that's just been something I keep coming back to, and I enjoy the way that sounds.
Yeah, and it was because I was listening to him talking about tape, and what he said he really liked about it was that you kind of catch like the little mistakes when you record on tape, and I guess that's what he really likes in his songs. Like sometimes you'll hear him as he's playing, like, you'll hear him like cuss because he missed a chord or something like that, you know, and like that makes it the final. the final cut of the song, and so it's like, I don't know, it makes it a bit more, like human, or a bit more like real, lived in. And I feel the same way about film, but yeah. So you can, and then I noticed on your Bandcamp too that you're not only selling it via Bandcamp, but you're selling it via CDR. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's
that all came about because someone in Stockholm. Well, I don't know if he lives in Stockholm, but he lives in Sweden somewhere. This guy, he doesn't like listening to like digital music. Obviously CD is a digital music, but he wants physical media, and so he asked if I would make something for him, and I thought, well, I just started working on it, and then next thing I know, it's like 3 a.m. and I thought, well, I could probably why don't I just make this, and available if anybody else wants it. And yeah, I mean, we sold maybe 10 of them in the last 2 weeks, so that's okay.
Okay, I'll put the link in the YouTube description for anyone who is interested.
Yeah, but yeah, it's wrapped in like a handmade piece of, it's like a piece of paper that I printed on the home printer, and it has like a sort of like a cutout in it, and there's some paint with watercolor and hole punch and some string, and yeah. And
that, I guess that brings me to another question. Is that like your album artwork all sort of is very similar? Like the style of it is very similar, at least to my eyes. Do you do the album artwork, or is it like one of your friends?
Yeah, I do it. Yeah, that's my background. I have a painting degree.
Okay, nice. So where'd you get that degree?
University of Tennessee in Chattanooga. They have a great painting department, and I did some printmaking there too. But it's a great. They have great teachers, and I feel like I learned a lot. And I learned a lot about really just to do what I'm doing.
Yeah, and I feel like
making things.
And I feel like painting is a very I'm trying to find the best word for it. But I know that there's like one word to describe it, but it's like there's a big history behind it. You know what I mean? And so when you're going into painting, there's like, it's like a long line of all sorts of movements and styles, and it's a discipline. I guess that's the word to it. Yeah. It's a very, and that's how is that how you know Aaron Jones? Because I was told by...
No, I know him. I mean, I moved to Knoxville a couple years after I graduated from in Chattanooga, and then I started playing shows there and doing Half-Handed Cloud a little more seriously, and I met someone named Mike there, a friend of mine, and Mike is good friends with Aaron. I think at one point Mike like put together a band at his college, and we all dressed as robots with like tinfoil on our heads, and maybe that's where Aaron was in the band. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, but, his sister goes to my church, and she had told me that you played at Sluggos in Pensacola, I guess a decade ago, or 2003, I think. Yeah, 2003,
Yeah,
unfortunately, Sluggos is no more. It's a thing in the past here. But actually, I mean, it went down, but Pensacola has actually gotten like, probably it's grown 200% the last few years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's hard to find parking now.
Yeah, after that show, we stayed with my grandfather. He lived in Pensacola for years and years, but he doesn't live there anymore. But I have an aunt and a cousin, maybe a couple cousins there.
And you were in a military family, right? Or
yes.
Am I wrong? Okay.
Yes, but we were never stationed there. They were in the Air Force. My parents were in the Air Force, and then but my grandfather was in the Navy, and so while he was stationed there, my aunts and uncles and mother all went to school in Pensacola.
Okay, and so did you move around a lot as a kid?
Yeah, we were born in Hawaii, and my sister and I, and my parents were stationed there for a while, even before we were born. And then we moved to Washington, D.C., and the place where the president's airplane lands. Andrews Air Force Base, or I think they call it a different name now.
Andrews Air Force Base, yeah.
Yeah, we were stationed there, and we lived there, and really after that, that's when my dad got out. So then we moved a couple times after that, but mostly I grew up after my parents divorced in western North Carolina, in this county that borders Tennessee and Georgia. So it's the tip of North Carolina.
I've driven along. My parents, we used to drive all around North Carolina when I was a kid. So I remember one time we got lost in North Carolina and we ended up in Tennessee.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that must be around where
that's where you were. You were there.
So I guess you move because you still move around a lot as an adult.
Well, so after Knoxville, let's see. So there was Chattanooga. Let's see. Wait. Okay, I was in North Carolina for about 10 years, then moved to Chattanooga, and I was there for about 10 years. I mean, at one point I lived in Micronesia, but that's a different thing.
What part of Micronesia?
I was in Pohnpei.
Okay.
Did you hear this news story where the there's an airplane that just crashed in Micronesia? I saw it today. And it was flying from Pohnpei to Chuuk, which is a different island. Nobody died, but people are really hurt. But that's where I was, kind of near Guam.
Yeah. I actually spent my childhood in Guam because my dad was Navy. Yeah. So we lived in Guam when I was a kid.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I was, when you're like, Micronesia, but whatever. I was like, oh, wait, my ears perked up there.
Okay, wait a second. So I went to Guam for Christmas in the Christmas of 93. The Christmas of 94, 95. And there were six Taco Bells on the island.
We would have been there at the same time.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's crazy. Because I was in Guam I was born in 94 in Oakland, and then we immediately moved to Guam, like pretty much right after that. And I was there my toddler years up until 97, I think, from 94 to 97. Yeah.
Cool. Maybe we were hanging out at the mall or something together.
Yeah. It's funny, like the whole island mentality too, when you're in that part of the world where everyone just sort of just hangs around. I mean, I've got a lot of, my family has a lot of stories about the Chamorro people there. That's for another time. It's very interesting kind of culture. We have the hustle and bustle here in America, and then on the island, there's really no reason to hustle and bustle for anything. It's totally different. But yeah, so we're getting a little closer to the end, so I got to move things along. I mean, I could talk about this all day, but move it along.
Sorry. So then after Chattanooga, then I was in Knoxville for 2 years, and then I moved to Berkeley and Oakland, and I was there for maybe 12 years. And then from there, I mean, while I was there, my wife and I got married. At one point, we were living in Belgium for 6 months, but then we were back in Oakland for another 2 or 3 years, and then she got an offer to. They wanted her to apply for a job in Helsinki, and so we've been here about 3.5 years.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my parents actually met and married in Oakland as well.
Okay.
Yeah, my mom was a pediatrician at Oakland Children's Hospital.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I guess I'll move this along. So I noticed on your Facebook page, I guess a few months ago, maybe, I don't know when, because my timeline has absolutely slipped me with the whole making of my movie and everything. It's just
Sure.
I can't tell day from day. But when you posted that you had worked with John Ben Deusen on his album Every Power Wide
Yeah.
Awake, and I noticed too that he was from Anacortes, which I have a lot of family in Anacortes, and I would never have thought. I don't know if you've ever been to Anacortes, but
Yeah,
it's a
I
really
have.
small
Yeah.
town. I would have never have
Yeah.
thought that, like, you know what I mean, that anything would come out of it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I was just there actually, like 2 weeks ago. But
Okay.
so you contributed to the music on the album, or
Mm-hmm.
to at least a few songs, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I'm not sure how many. At least there were two, and then there was like another sort of like something I was adding to one of the songs, and he decided to give it its own track. So yeah. But that came about. He emailed me, and just wanted to send me a song just to introduce himself, and sent me a song. And then and I really liked what I heard, and encouraged him, and then he sent me more stuff, and I was like, oh wow, this is really good. And then I don't know how exactly it happened, but I think I just probably volunteered. I said, if you want me to add anything, let me know. Or maybe I just started doing it and then said, hey, I did this thing. You can like it or not. I don't remember exactly what I did, but that's how. And he started sending me a lot of stuff. And so they're on the new expanded version. There's a vinyl version with 6 extra songs maybe, and I'm on 2 of those songs too. So so there's a lot. Yeah, now there's probably, but they're just tiny. I'm not like writing the songs or anything. Those are all John's, but yeah, just arrangements, or little parts, little trombone parts, or different sound effects or something.
That's cool. I mean,
Yeah.
I listen to it, and I actually use sometimes. I'll use your when you post stuff or whatever. Like, I'll use it to explore the other artists that you post about, or maybe go a bit deeper into artists that I kind of like not considered. Like, I remember you posting, I think, about Ariel Pink a while ago.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
I was like, I gave him a deeper listen, and now I love him. But with John Van Dusen,
Yeah.
I listened to it, and the song "Every Power Wide Awake." I mean, it's actually quite amazing. It's like 10 minutes
Yeah.
long, and it's like its own like kind of compressed orchestra, with all the different movements and everything within it.
Yeah, that was great. That was the
yeah.
second song he sent me, and I was just like, okay, this is a big deal.
Yeah, yeah, and and what's interesting too is, it really got me to thinking, because obviously, like, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm big into necessarily like Christian music. I mean, mainly because a lot of Christian artists, they just kind of take the general like pop formula and then like just change the lyrics and everything like that. It doesn't feel like that inspired. But definitely with this, and with your songs, and with some like some of Sufjan's stuff as well, like it's a whole different like class, than listening to your sort of almost like the top. I mean, but I guess it's just like any other music, that there's going to be more artsier stuff, and then more sort of mainstream stuff that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that kind of has me like, but I was thinking about this. I think about this pretty often, about like inspiration, and especially when you're listening to sort of like, I mean, I don't even listen to the radio anymore. I can't really stand a lot of the messages and stuff in music on the radio, and just how like it used to be, all these big painters and all these big like composers and everything like that. It was definitely inspired by the divine. And now it's it's more like look around or look down for inspiration rather than look up. You know, like I don't know. I mean, I was big into art back in the day, and you know, it's like if you look at any like Da Vinci's paintings, you know, and stuff like that, it's definitely like this huge divine like inspiration coming from above. And you just don't. I don't know. Maybe it's just maybe I'm not looking in the right places, but you don't see it that often. I'm just very glad when you do. And so, what do you like? I guess what do you do when you're working? And maybe it's not even like to inspire you to, because I know that when you wrote, was it Halos and Lassos? Was it Halos and Lassos that you read 3 Psalms a day, or is that another?
Yes, it was. I was reading 3 Psalms a day for Halos and Lassos, and and so what? Your question is just what do?
Yeah, what do you like? Right. What do you do to get in the headspace to get inspired?
Yeah,
because I know that it's very much like inspiration isn't something that's like a slow thing. It's kind of like it all comes at least for me, it all comes at once.
Yeah,
you know.
So the different things. And I mean, at this point, I'm searching a little bit about what to do for the next album. Exactly. I had a concept, and I made like a 20-song demo album about a year and a half ago, and then just decided maybe I should scrap a lot of that. So I don't know exactly where to go from there. I've been working on that myself, but to try to figure it out. But for something like Flying Scroll, Flight Control, there was a way to organize the New Testament in ways that the different the Apostle Paul seemed to be quoting earlier songs or different early Christian hymns, ancient Christian hymns in his letters. So there was an idea to kind of make each of those into a new song, to set those to music, and that was the general idea for that one. And yeah, I don't know. I guess you know, a lot of times I'll take notes, sermon notes, or go to lectures and find different things, and you know, sometimes those things will spark a new idea, but yeah, generally like it, like writing songs and worship go they're pretty intertwined for me, and they go hand in hand, and like it's a little strange to do one without the other for me. I actually don't know if that's healthy or not, but it is kind of the way that it happens, and so I try to just set some time aside when I can. My wife is on maternity leave right now with our 3rd child, and thanks. So she gives me some time, but also she really kind of wants to be at home. So sometimes there's just a little bit of a break where, you know, songs are not written for months, and so I have to just kind of wait and see what happens.
Yeah, and you know, and sometimes like just I've noticed this with myself, you know, because I write screenplays and whatnot. That when I like, it's almost like it's a mood or a feeling when I know exactly what I want to write. You know, and it's like it hits me sort of like almost like when you're hungry or something, you're all of a sudden really hungry and you have to eat, you know, almost in a sense.
Yeah.
And you have to eat right then, and that's kind of what I know. That's how inspiration feels. It's like it hits you and you know exactly what it is. And I might be like driving or I might be doing something and I have to like stop whatever I'm doing. And I'm like, okay, because it almost feels like, you know, I guess maybe that's the concept of, you know, like.
Yeah.
The Holy Spirit or something, because you really feel like
Sure.
something else come into you and you're just like, okay, I have to act on this now. You're channeling something. Yeah.
That's a good thing for sure. Yeah. And yeah, that can happen sometimes for sure. And you know, maybe a lot of times it happens more in the sense of melody. Like I will be just doing something else and there will be like, uh-oh, here's I've got something and I need to like stop what I'm doing. You know, sorry kids, I got to go over here and tape this, you know, and my wife is really supportive of that. She'll let me just like stop doing whatever I need to do and go into the other room and record.
So do you carry like the cassette tape around with you or whatever in case you're like not at the house or something? And
yeah, well, I have like a real, not a smartphone, a real sort of dumb phone, and you can record on it. If I get into a pickle, I can do that. You know, I just have to make sure, along with the melody, I'm also humming chords, like different counter melody kind of things. It's all coming at the same time, so I have to figure that out. But yeah, you know, like this little phone will do something, or I also have a little portable recorder, these little digital things. And then usually I always go home and I record it on the little tape recorder too, because I want it. It doesn't feel like it's real unless it's on that. And then for what I don't know why, but that's how it is.
And I guess because we're coming near the end. So
right, yes.
Just another question, but so when you record like in the studio, do you record all of the instruments yourself typically?
Well, let's see, for the I Don't Have a Bib album, most of that is just me. We had our neighbors were our downstairs neighbors are at our old apartment. They're from Estonia, so they went back. They took the ferry back over to Estonia, and for the summer. And while they were gone, I could set up some drums in there and the trombone, and I just did everything late into the night, like while my kids were asleep. I didn't have to worry about waking them up or anything. So, yeah, and you know, we were in the middle of packing and everything too, so it was good. I could just get away for that a little bit of time. So yeah, that's kind of like that. I typically will be writing the arrangements and then trying to come up with things with instruments and even things that I don't know how to really play, but I can just do it over and over until I get it to where I'm happy with it, usually, and just rewind it back and that kind of thing. And you know, going back to inspiration a little bit, like all the songs on I Don't Have a Bib, they were just like, for the most part, they were not written. They just were like, I never sat down and would write. There were some like that, but most of them I didn't sit down and write. They would just come, you know, and that's why a lot of them are short, but it would just be like, and some of them written by our sons as well. That's what's really fun about that album is like a song about changing a diaper. It just happens, you know. And I think probably everybody has those songs. Probably even if you don't have kids, you have like these little songs that you make, and I just thought it was a good idea to record them. So
well, yeah, and growing up in a pediatrician's house, you know, the songs are every day.
Sure,
pretty
yeah.
much.
Oh, wow.
You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, let me see if I have anything else I wanted to. I think that's about. Oh no, I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
about just one small question about the Antennas Extend video. So I was watching it.
All right.
And I was trying to like parse together in my head, like, okay, so obviously you guys shot a lot of stuff in reverse, or you reversed it in post to get the effects and stuff.
Yeah.
But what are the things that they have that kind of go like this? It's like a bag sort of mixed with.
I made these little like these kind of like plastic bag sculptures that everybody and for the people to hold, and so they're supposed to be like catching. They're supposed to be moved by a wind through the whole thing. They're catching it, and it's animating them around the yard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's about, it's about like the spirit moving us and pulling us along, and that whole EP for Jiminy Circuits is about those sort of things, those sorts of things. Yeah.
How did you do the thing? Was it like because that's what I was trying to figure out, how you made them move.
How to make it's backwards stuff. The whole thing is backwards, I think.
Okay, that makes sense now.
So as they're pulling it backwards, it's inflating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all there is to it, really.
Oh, okay. So they're okay. Yeah. No, I can see it. I can see it now.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is my one question about the video. I like the
Sure.
Super 8 look too. It's always fun to shoot.
The color is really great. We didn't change it at all. That's exactly how it looked tonight.
Yeah.
I was so happy with how it turned out.
I've got like 3 Super 8 cameras, so you can see this is a chunkier one. The one that I use now, because the only bad thing about Super 8s is that since they're old, you don't get a whole lot of use out of them before they break down, and then you can't find a part because then they don't make the parts anymore. I think Kodak is coming out with a new Super 8 camera though.
Okay.
They've been talking about releasing a new Super 8 camera for the last 2 years, so I don't know. Let's see. I mean, they have the prototype and everything, but it'd be cool to see that kind of come back in the mainstream, because I definitely do like that look more so than some other stuff. I'll actually send you some stuff after this that I shot on Super 8, just home video and stuff.
Okay.
I don't know. I just like the look of it. But yeah, I think that's about it for the interview. Thank you for joining us, and you can listen to his new. Here, you can shout out the stuff that you.
Oh, let's see, where were the new? Okay, so I have like a little homemade label called Half Handed Cloud Homemade, and the new thing, I Don't Have a Bib, is on there, and it's just halfhandedcloud.bandcamp.com, and the word Half Handed Cloud has no hyphen for that one. But if you want to hear the official albums, it's the half-handed cloud.bandcamp.com. So they're similar, but
and that's is it New Jerusalem music?
It's with Asthmatic Kitty.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, probably just a search Bandcamp Half-Handed Cloud.
Yeah.
One of those things will come up, and you can get to one from the other.
And actually, one last question. Sorry, because I just remembered it. What's the difference for you, like posting stuff independently versus, versus going through someone like Asthmatic Kitty? Like, is the process that much different?
So if it's through Asthmatic Kitty, it's a physical release, and if you're doing vinyl, you have to turn it in maybe 9 months before, and there's all these. You'll be fitting. I mean, they do a great job, and and you have to do things early too, because they send things out for reviews, and you want to just have everything kind of early out there. The artwork, you have to fit all the templates. Things get mastered. If I'm just doing it myself, it's just I can work on it for a few days and kind of put it out there. And I mean, it's not a few days. It's a whole summer or whatever. But it's not. I wouldn't. If I thought it was if I was gonna make something that I thought would have more appeal, I probably would try to put it out on Asthmatic Kitty. I sent this Bib album to Sufjan, and he liked it, and he wondered if I had any aspirations beyond putting it on Bandcamp. So I think I said no, but they may have been supportive and put it out as a real release, but it would have come out maybe next summer. So,
yeah,
which makes sense. But that's, things take time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it sounds like film, to me when you're going through a label.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds very similar because it's like you can, for short films and stuff. My short films, I just post them online, and it's just nothing to do. But with feature films, you go through a distributor, and then you gotta go through quality control, and then, and then they got to do all sorts of stuff to it, and then they got to market it, and then they got to find theaters to put it in, or decide like how they want to distribute it. And it takes about 9 months as well, so it's very similar. Yeah. So, but yeah. So, thank you for coming on and talking to me. I mean,
good to talk, Peter.
Yeah, and you can check out his stuff I'll have links to both your Bandcamps as well as to Every Power Wide Awake in the description, so you can check out all the stuff there. And of course, you can find his stuff on iTunes and also on the Asthmatic Kitty Records store, right? You should have like CDs and that kind of stuff.
They have records and CDs. There may even be they have a sale going on through early November. All the CDs are super cheap. So
yeah, and one of the great things too about buying from that store, when I buy merch from the store, is they send you a demo, like a little demo CD sometimes of all the different artists.
That's right.
Yeah, that's always fun to listen to. Yeah, the sampler. Yeah, that's always fun to listen to. So you get that for free sometimes. But thank you so much, John.
All right, thanks, Peter.